settle down comfortably. Check each one of you whether your mobiles are switched off. Kindly check. Sometimes all of us forget. Yesterday there was no mobile phone. Huh? It was a record. I think all of you deserve a big huh? Invariably something or other will go off. Huh? Even in America I find sometimes it happens. Huh? So please make sure your mobiles are all switched off, there is no disturbance. Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avadara varishtaya ramakrishnaya te namaha Jananim Sharadam Devi Ramakrishna Jagadguru Padapadmi Tayosrupa Namami Muhori Namasri Etirajaya Vivekananda Suri Satchit Sukasvarupaya Swami Sarvapriyananda. Our very, very dear Swami Sarvapriyananda and the assembled, should we call them Vedanta? Vedantins. Of course, we have been hearing, and we had 3 days of wonderful retreat in the new Himalayan retreat center, Sharda Tapovan. And yesterday we had the first sloka of the Shankaracharya's, Adi Shankara's Pratasmarani Sutra. Today we have Shankara, wherever he talks, these 3 slokas are essentially has given the gist of Advaita, condensed in 3 slokas. Because then the text we did was 20 slokas, Advaita Makaran. The Upanishads, many of the Upanishads are much longer. So here, just in 3 slokas, Adi Shankara gives and Maharaj will explain beautifully. But all said and done, we are again. You know the Thakur's famous example, when Kali Bhakt was converted into a Muslim, and they are forcing him to repeat, Allah says, Mera to gale tak maa Kali baithe nahi, he was not able to. So, that's very just fun. You know, this is a very beautiful 3 slokas, these 3 beautiful slokas. They give you a wonderful idea, to contemplate in the morning, the first thing to get up and if you remember. And that would probably stay with you throughout the day. That's why all these practices are recommended as early morning practices, the first thing you get up and do. So today Maharaj will take up the second sloka. All of you please listen carefully, try to absorb, and tomorrow he will round up with the last sloka. At the end of which tomorrow that you can offer pranams to Maharaj. Today after the program Maharaj will leave, and then all of you who wants to attend the Aarti can do. But there will be, Maharaj will talk for about an hour and then there will be a question and answer session for half an hour. Around 6:30 Maharaj will wind up. And those of you who want to attend can attend Aarti. Or of course you can definitely do pranams to Maharaj. Namaskar.
Revered Swami Shantatmanji Maharaj. And dear friends, we have started studying Shankaracharya's well-known Pratasmarana Stotra. This morning somebody was saying, so in the evening today we shall do the morning remembrance. Pratasmarana means the morning remembrance. 3 verses, and yesterday we took a close look at the first verse. Let us chant the verses first. I will read them out line by line and you can repeat after me. Pratasmarami hridi sansfurat atmatattvam. Pratasmarami hridi sansfurat atmatattvam. Satchit sukham paramahansa gatim turiyam. Satchit sukham paramahansa gatim turiyam. Yat swapna jagara sushuktim aveki nityam. Yat swapna jagara sushuktim aveki nityam. Tad brahma nishkalamaham
न च भूतसङ्घः तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्घः प्रातर्भजामि मनसा वचसामगम्यम् प्रातर्भजामि मनसा वचसामगम्यम् वाचो विभान्ति निखिलायदनुग्रहेण वाचो विभान्ति निखिलायदनुग्रहेण यन्नेति नेति वचनैर्निगमावोचम् यन्नेति नेति वचनैर्निगमावोचम् तं देवदेवमजमच्युतमाहुरग्र्यम् तं देवदेवमजमच्युतमाहुरग्र्यम् प्रातर्नमामि तमसः परमर्कवर्णम् प्रातर्नमामि तमसः परमर्कवर्णम् पूर्णं सनातनपदं पुरुषोत्तमाख्यम् पूर्णं सनातनपदं पुरुषोत्तमाख्यम् यस्मिन्निदं जगदशेषशेषमूर्तौ यस्मिन्निदं जगदशेषशेषमूर्तौ रज्ज्वां भुजङ्गमिव प्रतिभासितं वै रज्ज्वां भुजङ्गमिव प्रतिभासितं वै.
Yesterday we saw Pratasmarami. In the morning I remember, I recollect Ridisamspurat Atma Tattvam, the self shining forth in the heart. Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam. Is existence, consciousness, bliss. It is the fourth and it is the goal of the Paramahamsa sannyasis. Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptim Aveti Nityam. That which illumines our waking, our dream, our deep sleep constantly. Tad Brahma, that Brahman, Nishkalamaham, I am that Brahman, impartite, indivisible Brahman. Nacha Bhuta Sangaha, not this collection of matter. Now I'll make some remarks about this, then we'll go forward. I am that Brahman, indivisible Brahman. Yesterday we touched upon it. In a humorous vein, the donation should not be divided. Brahman may or may not be divided. So, Brahman, indivisible in two senses. One is, I mentioned yesterday, that existence, consciousness, bliss are not the qualities of Brahman. They are Brahmans, not that Brahman exists. It is existence itself. What does that mean? We understand when you say something exists. We understand when you say something does not exist. But what is existence itself? Understand it on the analogy of the golden ornaments. The necklace or the bracelet is gold itself. It is gold. Gold is not another kind of ornament. Gold is the reality, it's not another kind of ornament. Similarly, Brahman is the reality of all this, it's not another kind of existing thing. Then Brahman is consciousness itself. It's not that Brahman is conscious, it's not that Brahman knows, it is knowledge itself. And Brahman is bliss itself. Not that Brahman is joyful or happy, it's bliss itself. In that sense, they are not qualities or properties of Brahman. The second sense in which Nishkalam, partless, what it means is Sajatiya Vijatiya Swagata Bheda Rahita. What does that mean? Brahman is devoid of all differences. Differences means differences can be analyzed in three ways in Indian philosophy. One of them is the Vijatiya Bheda. So there is a bottle and there is a table and there is a Swami. These are all different entities. They're all different from each other. You are one kind of entity. The chair you're sitting on is another kind of entity. This hall is another kind of entity. The number one is an entirely different kind of entity. The fictional character Harry Potter is another kind of entity. So these are different Vijatiya. They are all different from each other. Brahman is devoid of Vijatiya Bheda, which means there is nothing different from Brahman. It's another way of saying non-dual. There is no second reality apart from Brahman. Nothing different from Brahman. Alright, nothing different from Brahman, but there could be different Brahmans. They're all Brahman. Different Brahmans. See, it's all an ocean. Take an ocean example. It's all an ocean. All of it is water. And yet the water is it's not the same water. The water in this way is different from the water in that way. It's all water, but There are different instances of water. Those who have studied philosophy, this is called the type token difference. This is a bottle of water. That's also a bottle of water, but they are not the same bottle of water. This is called Sajatiya Veda. Same thing, another instance of it, another token of it. But the bottle and the table are different. So is there another Brahman? No. Sajatiya Veda Rahita. Brahman is one. But there is no second Brahman. In fact, this is the core idea behind monotheism. When they say there is only one God, they mean there is no other divinity like that. The difference of the same kind is denied of the divinity. So difference of the same kind is denied of Brahman. Then there is the third kind of difference, Swagata Veda. Alright, then there are no other entities apart from Brahman, no Vijatiya Veda. There are no other Brahmans, plural, Sajatiya Veda Rahita. Then there is third one, but there could be internal differences within Brahman. So like in this body, it's one body, no doubt about it. But the hands are different from the feet, are different from the tummy, and different from the chest or the head. So they're all different parts of the same body. Right? So are there different parts of Brahman? Does Brahman have internal differentiation? And that is also denied without any parts, which means no internal difference. Samarasa, it is one homogeneous existence consciousness. It is the same thing literally. In Hindi they say, Tasatas Bharpur. This entire universe is packed tight with Brahman. So, no internal differences. These points, internal difference, difference of same kind, different of other kinds, these are huge philosophical positions. So a lot of debate goes behind this. For example, when you say there is no internal difference, here is where Vishishta Advaita and Advaita Vedanta will part ways. Vishishta Advaita Vedanta will say, Chit Achit Vishishta Brahma. So Brahman is one reality, we agree with you Advaitis. But in Brahman, Brahman is all encompassing. It's the totality. And in all things, so there are sentient beings like us, conscious beings like us. We are all part of Brahman. Like the Upanishads. So from the bonfire, thousands of sparks are emerging. Sarupa, they have the same nature as the fire. As consciousness, but we are sparks of consciousness. So we are like Brahman, but we are parts of Brahman. And there are insentient things like tables and chairs, matter and energy. That is the insentient part of Brahman. Chit, achit, sentient, insentient, all together, it's like comprising the body of Brahman. We deny that. Advaitins here, Shankaracharya says, Nishkalam. There is only one reality. Look at the difference, to understand this, look at the difference in how you view dreams and waking. If you wanted to describe this waking world, you would say it's a collection of all these things. There are stars and planets and living beings and non-living things and quarks and quasars. A collection of millions and billions of entities, large and small, living and non-living. That's how you would describe this universe. You mean it's not a vedantic. Just say any person on the street or any materialist or, But how would you describe your dreams? Would you say that's the collection of all the things that I saw in the dream? All those people and places, all of them together is the dream. You would say, no. Most important thing what the dream is, it's a dream. Those things are not there. Whatever I saw in the dream, whoever I saw in the dream, whatever happened in the dream, they are not there. Those things did not happen. It was all an appearance. That's the essential thing about a dream. What was there in the dream? Only one thing, the dreamer. You were there. Whether you saw other people, plants, animals, whether good or bad things happened, all of those things, whatever happened in the dream is you and only you. Was there anything else, anybody else in your dream apart from you? No. That's a better analogy to understand what Advaita, Nishkalam, partless. Here is this entire universe, so much diversity is appearing, but it is not there. Only Brahman is there. This entire diversity is an appearance. That is the meaning of Jagat Mithyatva. It's not, people sometimes say universal, all of it. Not really all of it. All of it means a collection. Brahman is not all of this, not in that sense. Um, Mary Hale, one of the Swami Vivekananda's disciples, a young American woman. So she wrote a poem to Swami Vivekananda saying that this is what you have taught, that you have taught us that all is God. And Swami Vivekananda wrote back a poem saying that I have never taught such an unmeaning doctrine, this meaningless stuff, that all is God. And she was taken aback. She said, you literally said that all is God. And what he said, he again wrote back in the poem, what I have said is that God alone is, the all is not. There's a difference between all is God and God alone is. What you call the all is an appearance of that God. It's not that all of this is there and somehow God is inside all of them. Not like that. Advaita Vedanta is saying Brahman alone is there. Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham. One limitless ocean of existence, consciousness, bliss. What is that? Sounds so remote, so abstract. Aham. I. You are that. Tattvamasi. Naja Bhuta Sangha. Not at all what we have taken ourselves to be. Bhuta Sangha, collection of matter. This physical body which we have right now, Stula Sharira, is a collection of matter. Pancha Bhuta. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Or the modern periodic table if you look. 100 plus 100, what is it now? 150 plus, I forgot. So, we have to memorize that stuff in chemistry class. So, collection of elements, collection of matter, physical body, and subtle body also, Sukshma Sharira, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, what we consider this person that I am, that's also made of matter. If you see Vedanta, Upanishads, the 5 elements they combine and recombine to make this physical body. And in their subtlest form, they go to construct our minds. According to Vedanta, even mind is matter. Even body is matter. And I am not this physical body, I am not this mind, which is also subtle matter. So I am not the physical body, Stula Sharira, I am not the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. And therefore, all the problems of the physical body, all the problems of the subtle body are not my problems. Are not my problems. The old age, disease, pain in the physical body, hunger and thirst in the pranic body, the unhappiness and frustration and anxiety in the subtle body. They are characteristics of the subtle body. Did I say yesterday, jo jahan ki cheez hai usko wahi rehne dijiye Mahatma ji. So, please keep the things in their proper place. Anxiety. I am very anxious. No, you are not. So why not? I feel anxious. That's why you are not anxious. What do you mean? This is Vedantic logic. If you feel anxious, if you are aware of anxiety, where is that anxiety? Is it in your kidney? No. Is it in your elbow? No. It's in my mind. Alright. So the anxiety is in your mind. You are aware of it. Just like I am aware of the bottle. I am not a bottle. I am aware of the bottle on the table. I am not a bottle. I am aware of the anxiety in the mind. I am not anxious. And the magic is the moment you think like this. It's a very contrary way of thinking. It's not. It's actually a much more truthful way of describing our experience. When you think like this, when you note it, you will find the magic is the anxiety declines. The anxiety declines. The mind also becomes less anxious. Nacha Bhuta Sangha. I am not the conglomeration of matter called physical body. I am not the conglomeration of subtle matter called subtle body. How do I know this? That I am Brahman? Yat Sapna Jagara Sushuptam Aveidi Nityam. Yesterday we did that. But the Avasthatraya Vichara, we noted what is waking, we noted what is dream, we noted what is deep sleep, and the I am that one unchanging consciousness which is aware of all these. Then what am I? He says, Satchit Sukham. What is this made of? This Turiya, the fourth one. I am not the waker. Usually, what do we identify ourselves as? I am this person sitting right here listening to this class. This is my identity. That's what I think. This is the waker. And this class is the waker's world. This is also an appearance in consciousness. So, this fourth one, not the waker, not the dreamer, not the deep sleeper, the fourth one, Turiya, I am. You are that Turiya. Turiya means fourth. But what is it made of? What is this Turiya? Satchit Sukham. It is existence itself, consciousness itself, fulfillment of bliss itself. And this is our goal of life. The goal of life is God realization, enlightenment, moksha, Brahma Jnana, whatever you call it. And the Paramahamsa word is there to point out one must be qualified for it. Technically it means a monk of the order of Paramahamsas, which Shankaracharya belonged to. But basically it means one must be qualified or one must develop those qualities in oneself. You shouldn't give up that I am not qualified, so it is not going to happen. We are going to struggle. When Krishna divides the Daivasura Sampad in Bhagavad Gita, demonic attributes and divine attributes in Bhagavad Gita, and he assures Arjuna, don't worry, you are born of divine attributes. When you see the demonic attributes, many things will match with our life. A commentator says, what's the point of this division? The point of this division is not to disqualify those with demonic attributes. It is to say that then we must put forth that extra effort to develop the Daivi Sampad, the divine treasure, the virtues in life basically. Then, a couple of points before I go ahead. Pratha Smaram, in the morning I recollect. Smarami, this is a technical point, I just touch upon it and go ahead. But those who study Vedanta, they will immediately note, remember. How strange. What do you remember? What do you remember? The definition of smriti, memory, is that which is not directly presented to us, that's what we remember. If I ask you, do you remember yesterday's class? It's a meaningful question, reasonable question. Do you remember yesterday's class? You'll say yes or no, whatever. But if I ask, do you remember this class? You say, what do you mean? I am in this class. I am seeing you. I am hearing you. What do you mean remember? What do we remember? That which is not directly in front of us, which we cannot see, hear, smell, taste, touch, something that we had experienced earlier, we recollect the traces in our memory. That's called remembrance. If it is present, you don't remember it, you experience it. So this class is present, we are experiencing it. It will be odd to say, do you remember this class? Now, Atman, the self, is present or not? It's present. I am. I am continuously experiencing myself. Why does he say remember? Pratha Smarami. Morning I remember, recollect. So, it is used in two senses. One is, in an indirect sense, it's not really memory, which is three senses actually. One is, he's drawing our attention to it. Why we remember? Because we forget. We wake up, immediately you are plunged into the world. Switch off that alarm, not to go and brush and morning cup of tea or coffee and get ready for the day. Totally forgetting myself. Take a moment, Shankaracharya says, Pratha Smarami Hrivi Samspurat Atma Tattvam. Remember what? Not God, not the world, yourself. Self with a capital S. So drawing our attention. Why the word remember? Because we forget. In that sense. More technical sense. There is a word called Pratyavijna, which is recognition. Recognition. Follow this carefully. If you have seen someone yesterday and you see that same person today, you say, this is that one. This is that one. If you see someone for the first time, direct experience. You are seeing for the first time. If you remember somebody you are not experiencing, just recollecting. But if you recognize somebody, aren't you doing both things, seeing plus memory? Recognition is pratyaksha, seeing, plus memory, smriti. So I see the person, or I hear a tune, a song, which I recollect also. I heard this. This is that song. When I say this, I am hearing. When I say that song, I am remembering. Put them together, you get pratyavijna, recognition. So here remember is used indirectly to indicate pratyavijna, recognition. In the sense, what sense? This is that consciousness which was watching the dream just now. The dream world has disappeared. The person in the dream has disappeared. You were there in your own dream. That has also disappeared. Now the waking world has come. This waking person has come. The same consciousness is watching. I recognize this is that. Alright. Third meaning of smarami. Actually meaning memory. So here I am the self, I am. But now I bring forth the memory of my vedantic learning. Here see, it is awareness. Here see, it is the one which is witness of waking, dreaming, deep sleep. So in that sense, smarami. Hriddhi Sanspura, in the heart, deeper meaning of heart, heart here, not physical heart, near to it, the so-called spiritual heart where we meditate. Deeper meaning of heart, Shankaracharya says, Buddhi Guhaya. Guha, in Upanishads you keep getting this term Guha, cave. Cave of the heart. So, Buddhi Guhaya means the cave means in the mind. Where is consciousness? If you say here, look more carefully, not exactly in the body, you find the manifestation of consciousness, we find it in our minds. That's the only place where we find it. Not in an object, not even in the body, not even in senses. We are aware first and foremost in the mind. So, Hriddhi Sanspura, shining forth in the mind consciousness. That of course is also the reflected consciousness. Anyway, so this is the first verse. Very important. Power-packed shloka. The second one. Pratar bhajami manasa vachasamagamyam vacho vibhanti nikhilaya danagrahena yanneti neti vachanair nigamavochan tam deva deva majamachyutamahurakshiyam. Pratar bhajami. In the morning I adore, I worship. Not a separate divinity. The wondrous thing, my own reality. The reality which I truly am. Not this individual fellow. It should not be worshipped. Nothing to worship here. But the reality which is manifesting as this individual fellow and as everybody else. That reality. Pratar bhajami. Manasa vachasam agamyam. Vacho vibhanti nikhilaya danugrahena. That which is not expressible by language. You can't speak about it. And you cannot think about it, manasa. Vacho vibhanti nikhilaya danugrahena. By whose grace? By that Atman's grace. That cannot be expressed by language, you cannot think about it. But because of that Atman, language illumines everything. Language illumines means expresses everything. Because of consciousness, language expresses everything. Then how do you express, how do you point out consciousness, how do you talk about it, how do you philosophize about it? Yan neti neti vachane nigama vochu. The Vedas speak about it as not this, not this. Neti neti. Tam deva devam. Not this does not mean shunyam, does not mean void, nothing. It is the God of gods. Deva here is the shining, light of lights. Deva devam. Ajam, the unborn. Achyutam, of undeviating nature. Ahuragrayam, it's the first, the foundation. All power packed. And all of these are based on Upanishads. It's drawn from various Upanishads. Manasa vachasa magamyam. And then he says, Vacho vibhanti nikhilaya danugrahena. That which cannot be expressed by mind and speech, and yet which is the basis for the functioning of mind and speech. Every day we sing. Khandana bhava bandhana, at the very end. Namo namo prabhu. Vakya manatita. Vakya manatita. Then next. Manovachanaikadhar. Now see. Manasa vachasam agamyam. Vakya manatita. And Vacho vibhanti nikhilaya danugrahena. That by which all words manifest everything or speak about everything. Words can refer to their objects because of the grace of that. And we sing Manovachanaikadhar. the foundation, the ground of all mental activity and linguistic activity. So it cannot be expressed by mind, it cannot be thought of by mind, it cannot be expressed by language. Yet language and mind cannot function without it. It is that which enables language to function and mind to think. It's literally these lines. We sing every day. We sing thinking we're singing to Sri Ramakrishna. It is true. But deeper meaning is you are singing to yourself, your own nature. That which is not the body, not the mind, the witness of body and mind. One little indication will give, technical stuff here, and then go ahead. I will not stay too long with it. What we will do now is, why is it not expressed, can it not be expressed by language? Why cannot it be thought of by mind? And if it cannot be thought of by mind and cannot be expressed by language, then how are we expressing it? How is Shankaracharya writing this? How are the Upanishads talking about it? How is Bhagavad Gita talking about it? So that which cannot be spoken, how to speak of it? What strategy can be there? So these are the two main things I'll talk about here. But before that, a little deeper matter, a little technical matter. Manasa vachasa agamyam, which cannot be thought of. We're talking about something which cannot be thought of. We get this phrase again and again. In Upanishad you get Tena Upanishad, Yan manasana manute yena hurmano matam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which cannot be thought of by the mind, but that by which mind is illumined. Know that to be Brahman, not what you worship as this. So, mind cannot think of Brahman. Again, Upanishad says, Manasaivedam aptabhyam, only by the mind you can be grasped, it can be grasped. It cannot be thought of by the mind, and only by the mind it can be grasped. So, how do you put them together? This discussion is there at the end of the Vedanta Sara. So, what is the point made there? That how do we know anything? What I'm going to say in the next 2-3 sentences, if you get it, if you are familiar with it, you will know what I'm talking about. If you are not, it will be mysterious. It seems to be jargon riddle. But I'll just mention it for the record. The question here is the Atman, Brahman, our real nature, can it be realized by the mind? Can it be thought of by the mind? Can it be grasped by the mind? And the answer seems to be no and yes. Can it be known by the mind? No and yes. So the question raised is, how is any knowledge possible? How does the mind know anything? And then we will realize why the mind cannot know Brahman or Atman. And also we will realize in what sense the mind can know Atman or Brahman. How does the mind know anything? So because of the senses, for example, information is brought from outside into the mind. The bottle doesn't enter the eye, thank God. Reflected light from the bottle enters the eye. An image is formed, and quickly through the optic nerve something is taken to the brain centers, and there something is presented to the mind. Nobody knows how. Nobody knows. There's no idea. Modern scientists have no idea. The last thing that we can detect is electrical activity in some parts of the brain. That's it. But we internally, we get the experience. I am seeing the bottle. So the content is presented to the mind. This is called a vritti. There will be a bottle, akara vritti. There will be a gerua, akara vritti. There will be a sound, akara vritti. Movement in the mind about that object. This is called technically vritti vyapti, pervasion by the mental vritti. And consciousness is always there. There is a concept of reflected consciousness, chidabhasa. So in the mind, consciousness is always reflected, it's shining in the mind. And whatever vritti takes place in the mind is illumined by that reflected consciousness. So this illumination by consciousness is called phalabhyapti. So two things, vritti vyapti, object, and phalabhyapti, illumination. Once that phalabhyapti happens, something is illumined by consciousness, we get the feeling, I see it, I hear it, I smell it, I taste it, I touch it, I think of it, I have understood, I know it. This flash of experience, anubhava, happens because of phalabhyapti. Okay, this is how any knowledge takes place. But in the case of the self, what the mind can do is vritti vyakti. You can study Vedanta, you can know that I am not the body, not the mind. So the mind takes on an understanding about the self. It points back to the self. It cannot make a vritti about the self, but it takes a vritti on the basis of our Vedantic teachings, on the pointing out. And then phalabhyapti is not necessary, because consciousness shines forth on its own light. It's like in the night, this is a good example. In the night, the world is illumined by the moon. The moonlight, wherever the moon faces, so that is like the vritti vyakti, and the sunlight shines on the moon and becomes moonlight reflected back to the earth, and the moonlight illumines the dark earth. That's like phalabhyapti. Now, do you need the moon to illumine the sun? No. So, the light from the moon, it can be reflected back to the sun, but that light is not needed to illumine the sun. You just need to take your attention away from the world and look at the sun. Don't look at the sun. Look at the sun. The sun is shining forth. You don't need the moonlight to go there. To see the world at night, you need the moonlight to be reflected on to illumine the dark world. But to see the sun, you don't need the moonlight. So moonlight, not necessary for seeing the sun. But focusing on the sun is necessary to see the sun. Focusing on the world, then you need the moonlight to see the world. Focusing on the sun, and then you don't need the moonlight to see the sun. Okay, sort of rough example. Atman, being pure consciousness, you need to take your attention away from the world and focus on the Atman with the help of Vedantic teachings. But then, finally, the realization of the Atman is not by the mind, not by our efforts. It cannot be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, touched. It cannot be conceived of by the mind or revealed by language. It shines forth itself. It's obvious in that sense. In that sense, mind is necessary. Why? Technical answer, vritti vyakti is necessary. In that sense, mind is not necessary. Why? Phalabhyapti is not necessary. Reflected consciousness not necessary to know the original consciousness. Why do you need that? Sri Ramakrishna put it very simply. He said, Shuddho mone gochar. It cannot be known by the worldly mind, but the mind which is turned away from the world, vritti vyakti, which has been purified, then it grasps the truth about ourselves. Okay. Why cannot it be revealed by speech? Why can't Atman be revealed? Why do we keep saying it's beyond speech, beyond language, and then you talk a lot about it? So much class after class is going on and you say you can't talk about it. What you cannot talk about, why can't you, first of all, why can't you talk about it? Second, how do you manage to talk so much about something that cannot be spoken about? So first, why can we not talk about the Atman, Brahman? So here we need a little philosophy of language. Adi Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad, there is a word, Abhyapadeshyam, in the 7th mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad. That which cannot be referred to by language. Words cannot refer to it. Abhyapadeshyam. And Shankaracharya explains why. So first, what can language do? And then we will see why it can't function for Brahman. What can language do? He says, language functions when any one of these 5 factors are present. Jati, Guna, Karma, Sambandha, Rudhi. 5th one I am adding from another source, Sureshwara's commentary, but Shankaracharya mentions at least 4 of them. So 5 factors, let us say, are necessary for language to function. It sounds technical, but when we'll see it's common sense basically. How does language function? So when I say it's a bottle, he gives the example of a cow. When I say it's a cow, how is it functioning? There is a class of animals called cows. And I see one instance and I note that it is a member of that class. I'm using that class to refer to this animal. Because as a class property, set property is there, and this belongs to is a member of that set. And therefore I say it's a cow. Human being. So we have a class property of all of us, humanity. Therefore we are human beings. It could be complex. Nowadays book. Simple term. We know what is a book, but now see e-book has nothing in common without paper and ink books, and yet it's a book. So this is jati. Jati is a class or a set. If it's there, you can use language. You can't use it for Brahman. Why? We just said Sajatiya Bheda Rahita. There is not more than one Brahman. It's not a class. There's not a set of Brahman. So you can't use jati. Second, guna, quality. I can say red flower, pink flower. Now how am I distinguishing one flower from another? Color of the flower. Tall person, short person. So I'm able to distinguish based on height, on color, on all kinds of qualities. How do people select? You want to select somebody for a job. You look at the qualifications. Guna, quality. You already know why this cannot be used for Brahman. Because Brahman is Nirguna. We got it, Nirguna. Brahman is Nirguna, without any attribute. Brahman does not have any attribute. We just said Satchidananda, not the attributes of Brahman. So Brahman does not have any attribute. There is no attribute you can use to refer to Brahman. You can't say the pink Brahman or the brown Brahman or tall Brahman or short Brahman. You can't say that. Then third one, another way of using language is karma, action. The driver of the car who was parked there, please come forward. So how am I referring to that driver? The driver by the action of driving. The cook is to be complimented on this dish who has cooked it so this is a delicious dish. What am I referring to? The function of cooking. So by activity you can refer to something. And this is not just simple thing about cooking or driving. It could also be at the level of particle physics. By the behavior of the particular particle, you classify it as a new kind of particle has been detected. So action, karma. There's another way of using language, sambandha, relationship. Very important way. So please, so go to your assigned seats, if you have assigned seats. Now it is a relationship between you and your seat. Teacher and student, father and children, organization and member. How are all these things, how are you talking about it? All are relationship based. All are relationship based. You cannot use function for Brahman also. Why not? Because Brahman is Nishkriyam, totally lazy. Brahman doesn't do anything. Brahman doesn't do anything. No function is there, no activity. So Brahman is Nishkriyam, hence you cannot use any function for referring to Brahman. You cannot use any relationship for referring to Brahman. Can you tell me why? Because relationship requires at least two terms. At least two things have to be related. Dvinishta sambandha, Nyaya definition. Relationship is based on at least two terms. There is no two, Advaita. Brahman has no second at all. With what will Brahman be related? So you cannot use relationship. You cannot use sambandha. Just question about relationship. I was reading a very wonderful writer on cutting edge physics, Carlo Rovelli. He's an Italian, but very lyrical writing. He writes in Italian, I guess, but I've read only the English translation. In one of his latest books, it's called Helgoland. It's about quantum mechanics, quantum physics. And so he works in quantum physics and is fascinated by it. It seems, so I'm not an expert at all, not at all, by no means. It's just second-hand whatever I've read in the books. It seems one of the big problems in quantum physics is that it works, but what does it actually mean? Nobody is very sure. Mean in the sense, what is the view of the world which comes out of quantum physics? Nobody is very sure. There are multiple interpretations. Now the interpretation which this Carlo Rovelli talks about, he says, actually what is reality? It is relationships. It's only in relationship to the observer that the observed universe manifests itself. It's only in relation to one particle that the other particle manifests, works in a particular way. So in relationship to each other, the universe works. We cannot think of things as they are. If you say, what is it in itself? Then that question has no meaning. So these things, they come up together and they fall together. And he writes there, just by the way, he writes there that when I say these things, I have often been asked, have you read Nagarjuna? Have you read Nagarjuna? Shunyavada, Madhyamaka Buddhism. So he said, I finally decided to read. People keep telling me. So I found out that Nagarjuna is 2000 years ago, he lived in India. He was from actually Andhra. And he was also associated with Nalanda for some time. He is the writer of the Moola Madhyama Karika and a major work of Buddhist philosophy. He is the central philosopher in the Buddhist school of Shunyavada, emptiness. And this person, he says, Carlo Rovelli, when I read Nagarjuna in an English translation by Professor J. Garfield, who made this wonderful translation and commentary on Moola Madhyama Karika. So when I read it, I was amazed. I saw that this Indian Buddhist philosopher living 2000 years ago is speaking in the language of latest quantum mechanics. Not that he knew quantum mechanics. Carlo Rovelli is very clear about it. But his worldview and the worldview emerging out of quantum physics is the same worldview. That the entirety of our experience are related, interdependent phenomena. They rise and fall together. Just by the way, how profound these people say thought, even without modern mathematics or physics, from another angle, from just philosophizing, they came to this worldview. Why I was excited when I read it, J. Garfield, the book which Carlo Rovelli read, that translation, I learned Shunyavada from him at Harvard University. So I was so excited, I called him, do you know that you have been mentioned in this book? And I wrote to him. And he said, yes, I've just found out, and we're going to have a seminar with Carlo Rovelli on that, on theory of emptiness and modern quantum mechanics. Anyway, relationship. But relationship cannot be predicated of Brahman. Finally, there is one way of talking about of anything. It's called Rudhi, convention. Convention. What is convention? For example, you name somebody, a baby is born, and you name that baby Ram, Sham, Jadu, Madhu or something, or John or Mary or something. You name that baby. Not how do you name the baby? Not because of Jati, Guna, Turiya, not because of Sambandha. No, it's just a name. Just a name. This person is called, say, Sham. The baby will be called Sham. So why can't you just use language? This is called conventional designation. You apply a term and say from now on this will be called X, Y, Z, something. So like that you can call Brahman X, you can call it Atman, Brahman, something like that. You can give a name, just give a name without any other class or property or activity or relationship, nothing. Just give a name. Why can't you do that for Brahman? Because what do you have to do when you name a baby or name anything? You have to point it out. This one is called Sham. That one is called X or Y or Z. Unless you point it out, if I tell you, call Sham. So which Sham? I will not tell you. How will you know what I am talking about? So it has to be pointed out. Any conventional designation in Sanskrit, it's called Rudhi. Whatever you are talking about has to say, this is named that. But you can't point out Atman. You can't point out Brahman. How do you point out? It's not an object. Nothing to be seen, heard, smelled, tasted. Nothing to be thought about. So how will you point out? So Rudhi also will not work. So Shankaracharya says, Shabda pravritti nimitta rahitatva abhyapadeshyam. If I translate, it's like this. Because Brahman is devoid of the instigators of linguistic usage, you cannot designate it by words. In simple language cannot function on Brahman. To function, you need one of these 5 characteristics. All 5 are missing in Brahman. How will you use language? That's why all of this to say, Vachasam agamyam cannot be reached by words. This is the explanation. Why not? Then how does Vedanta talk about it? How does Upanishad talk about it? How are we talking about it? It says, Yan neti neti vachasa nigama vochanti. The Vedas, the scriptures, the masters, they use strategy. Strategy. If you cannot directly talk about it, there are ways of getting around this problem. You see the skill which the Upanishads and others use. Multiple strategies are there. One of the strategies is indicated here. If you cannot say what it is, you can at least say what it is not. It's called, in Latin it's called the via negativa. The negative way. You can deny something if you cannot affirm it. So neti neti. So what is Brahman?
What is the Atman? What is the self? We are talking about Atma Tattvam. It's not the body, not the prana, not the mind, not the intellect, not the Anandamaya, the causal body. Neti. So it's nothing. Neti. Not even that. Object. What is it? No object. There is nothing. No, not even that. Neti. Kena Upanishad says that Anya Devatat Vidita Ratho Avidita Dadhi. Whatever you know, yes, whatever you know, whatever you've seen, heard, smelled, tasted, whatever you've read, understood, inside that Encyclopedia Britannica, yes, is other Brahman is other than that. Oh, it is something unknown. No, Brahman is other than that also. It's other than the known. Oh, so it's unknown? No, it's other than the unknown. What is the only thing which is other than the known and the unknown? See, the entire objective universe, you can divide it into the known and the unknown. Right now, what is behind me, I don't know. You know it. What is behind you, I know it. You don't know it. So this is known for you, that is unknown for you. It's objective. But other than this and that, there is one more thing here. Yes, subject. You, the knower, who is not part of an object. You are neither a known thing nor an unknown thing, because you are not a thing. You are the knower itself, you are the subject, the consciousness, the awareness. It's not a thing. The self is not an object. It is other than the known, other than the unknown. Only an object can be known or unknown. The Scottish philosopher David Hume, you Scottish? David Hume? I think. So he says, what is this self? When I introspect within myself, I don't find anything called the self. I find thoughts, emotions, memories, judgments, perceptions. But where is the self? Where is the self? We will say, David, you are looking in the wrong place. You're looking at the known and the unknown. You're looking at the object, but the self is not among the known and the unknown. You don't find it because you're looking in the wrong direction. It's not there. It's there. You cannot objectify it. You are the one to whom the thoughts, emotions, perceptions, the judgments are appearing and disappearing. That one. It's like trying to find the eyes by seeing. I can see you. I can see this. I can see that. I can see. And there's something called, people are telling me there's something called eyes. Where are the eyes? I can't see. No matter how much I look, will I find the eyes? If you get a mirror, I will see a reflection of the eyes. If I take a selfie, I will see a picture of the eyes. Can the eyes see themselves? No. The eyes cannot objectify themselves. Never. But then how do I know that I've got eyes? See, let me ask you this question. How do I know that there is this bottle? Because you see it, Swami. So by seeing the bottle, I know that there is a bottle. By seeing what will I know that I have eyes? You can't say seeing the eyes, because I can't see the eyes. And seeing what? Seeing what? Mirror? Mirror will see a reflection of the eyes. By seeing what will I know that I have got eyes? Everything, you're right. By seeing anything, I can't say there is a bottle. I have to see the bottle to affirm that there is a bottle. But by seeing anything, one thing is proved. I have eyes which are functioning because I'm seeing. Seeing the bottle proves not only there is a bottle, but I have eyes. Similarly, every experience, no matter what you experience, proves the subject, proves that you are this conscious being. Descartes, his famous cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am, very famous, that conclusion. But then he said, there is only one thing he said cannot be doubted, my own existence. But then he went on to say in his meditations there, very poignant statement, Descartes writes, listen carefully, he says, that which I am absolutely sure of, it is passing strange, that which I am absolutely sure of, I know so little about it. And that which I know so much about, I cannot be sure of. What am I sure of? I exist. What do I know about it? Nothing. Self, Atman, I don't know anything about it. And what do I know? Word, know lots. Are you sure about this word? No. So how beautifully he writes it. What I am absolutely sure of, it's strange, I do not know anything about it. It's not an object of knowledge. That's why I don't know anything about it. It's very acute that way, Descartes. We all study. His philosophy we may not study, but in school we have all studied Cartesian coordinates, x-axis, y-axis, and we have to thank Descartes for that. Okay. I am not sure of the Atman. And I am sure of the Atman, but I don't know anything about it. Because you cannot know anything objectively about it. And he says, what I know objectively about this entire world, I know so much about it. But I can never be sure that it exists. It's an appearance. Okay. So, not this, one strategy. Strategy number 1. Strategy number 2. Another strategy is there. Contradictory language. Language of paradox. It says, tad dure tad dvantike, that which is very far and that which is closest of closest. How can something be very far and how can something, that same thing, be closer than the closest? Shankaracharya explains in his commentary, this is from Isha Upanishad, contradictory language. He says, for those who do not know it, it is further than the furthest. For those who know it, it's closer than the closest. It is yourself itself. You are that. Contradictory language. Again and again, Gita you will see, that which is day for the sage is night for worldly people. That which is day for worldly people is night for the sage. What does that mean? To see action in inaction and inaction in action. That person truly sees as the doer of all action. Contradictory language. So, contradictory language is used to say something which cannot be said directly, to indirectly indicate it. That's second strategy. There are multiple strategies, at least 4 or 5 strategies are there. Another strategy is what is called implied meaning. Implied meaning. Implied meaning is direct meaning you cannot take. In Sanskrit it's called lakshyartha, implied meaning. I will not go into that, the big subject. So, when you say Tat Tvamasi, you are that. Tat means Tat Brahma, that Brahman from which the universe has come out. And Tvam means you, that individual being. How can you be the cosmic? Impossible. How can 1 be equal to billion? Impossible. What it means there is, by Brahman is meant not God, Ishvara, the creator of the world, but pure consciousness. By you is meant not this body mind, na bhuta sangaha, satchit sukham turiyam, the pure consciousness. You, the witness consciousness, which appears as this body, mind, individual being, same consciousness appears as Brahman with the power of Maya creating this universe. In that sense, you are one and the same. Implied meaning, lakshyartha. These are the strategies used to speak about something which cannot be spoken about. Nigama ochan, that which cannot be said has been said by the Upanishads. And following the Upanishad, the same strategy is used by Gita, Brahma Sutra, and many of the other post-Shankarite and post-Shankara texts. That one, by whose grace, because of consciousness, language reveals everything. Language cannot reveal consciousness, cannot reveal Atman, Brahman, but it reveals everything else. And why does it reveal? Because behind it, underlying it is one consciousness. When I say, this is a bottle, by my speech I have referred to the bottle, I have in one sense revealed the bottle, drawn your attention to the bottle, this is a bottle. But what happened? In the same consciousness, remember Waker and Waker's word? You, the consciousness, arises the world with the bottle, it appears. And you appear as this person. And in your mind is the thought that this is a bottle. And you use speech, grounded in the same consciousness, this is a bottle. All of it is possible. This bottle, I, the speaker, and my use of language is possible because of consciousness below. 2 senses. One in Kena Upanishad, and one in new interesting idea I got recently. Kena Upanishad, Kene shitam padati preshitam mana, Kene shitam vacham imam vadanti. Inspired by what are these words coming out? And the answer was by the tongue of the tongue, ear of the ear, the nose of the nose, eye of the eye, basically meaning consciousness. Because of consciousness, illuminated by consciousness, we are using language to refer to things. So that is one meaning. Meaning of Vacho Vibhanti Nikhila. Nikhila means the entire universe. Vibhanti illumines. What illumines? Language. Yat Anugrahena, by whose grace? Whose grace? Consciousness, grace of consciousness. Another meaning I got recently, there is this very interesting teacher called Greg Good. He's a psychologist who was working in New York and just retired. He gave a very nice talk at the Vedanta Society recently. He was introduced to Vedanta by Swami Adishwarananda, who was the head of our Ramakrishna Vivekananda Center in New York, many, many decades ago. And then he proceeded with his own Vedantic inquiry. He's a direct path teacher, like Ramana Maharshi. So the usual Vedantic way of saying this is, language cannot express Brahman. Words cannot express Brahman. And he said the opposite. He said, all words refer to Brahman, all words express only Brahman. Which is true actually also. After all, what do words talk about? This and this and this, all these things in the word. What are they ultimately? Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satyam. Brahman alone is appearing as all this. So for the enlightened person, all language will refer to the divinity, if they want to see it that way. For the unenlightened person, the way we use language, language cannot grasp the divinity, cannot grasp Brahman or Atman. Both are true. Often in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, you will come across paradoxes like this. Language cannot reveal Brahman, and language reveals only Brahman. Both are true. One sadhu told me once, जब दो विपरीत बात आपको एक साथ पकड़ में आवेगी महात्मा जी, अद्वैत पकड़ में आवेगी आपको. If two contradictory things, which seems contradictory by common sense, make perfect sense to you, then you understood Advaita Vedanta. Vipareet baat, contradictory things make sense. Seeing action in inaction, inaction in action, contradictory. But it makes perfect sense in Advaita Vedanta. You can easily explain it logically from the Advaitic perspective. So that's the second meaning of consciousness enabling language to reveal everything. As we sing every day, Vakya Manatita, beyond language and beyond mind, Manovachanaika Adhara, the ground of all thinking and language. All of this was just to explain those two lines. We sing every day. What is that reality? Very beautiful word he has used. Deva Devam. Deva, normally Deva means in the Devatas, but the deeper meaning of Deva is to dim, to shine. The light of lights. Consciousness is the light of lights. Atman is the light of lights. What do you mean light of lights? This room will be dark. Unless you switch on the light, you will not be able to see anything in the room. So when you switch on the light, everything you will see in this room. But to see that light, you don't have to switch on another light. So the light reveals, what is the nature of a light? Which reveals everything and reveals itself also. That's a light. So this is a light. But this cannot function without your eyes. The moment I close my eyes, this light is no light for me. I can't see it. So the light of that light is the eyes. The light of the eyes is the mind. Unless my mind is paying attention, whatever the eyes are showing, I won't be able to see. I am looking, but I am not seeing. I am hearing, but I am not here. One teacher scolded the students. You are here, but you do not hear. So, mind is not connected to the ears. So, mind is the light of the sense organs. Physical light is the light of the world. Sense organs is light of the physical light. And the mind is the light of the senses. But the light of the mind is consciousness, you, Atma. Light of lights, Deva Devam, Jyoti ra Jyoti, we sing, Ujala Ridi Kannada. Kannada Bhavamanda. Jyoti ra Jyoti, Ujala Ridi Kannada. Light of lights shining in our heart. Normally we mean, we're singing it to Sri Ramakrishna. You're the light of lights and we visualize you in our hearts. But what are you talking about here? Really the deeper meaning is consciousness, you. The song is pointing back towards the real you, not the person you. Towards consciousness itself, the witness consciousness, which is light of lights, Deva Devam, Ajam, unborn. This unborn, to explain this, class after class will be necessary. The whole of Mandukya Karika, especially the Advaita Prakarana of Gaudapada, the Ajativada, the theory of non-origination. In the second chapter also, Vaitatya Prakarana is there. Na nirodho, na chuppatti, na baddho, na cha sadhaka, na mokshu, na vai muktaha, ittesha paramarthata. What's the ultimate truth? There is no cessation of samsara. Why? There is no beginning of samsara. Samsara did not begin. How will it end? No, but what about we are all in bondage? Nobody is in bondage. But we are all doing sadhana to get out of bondage. Nobody is doing any sadhana. But then mumukshus, people are there who would want moksha. Nobody is a mumuksha. But then at least you are there. You are mukta, jivan mukta. Nobody is a mukta. What are you talking about? Ittesha paramarthata. This is the ultimate truth. All that is there in this one word, ajam, unborn. The theory of non-origination. But we will not go into that. We will need several classes. Achyutam, of unswerving nature. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep comes and goes. Days and change into nights. Days and nights change into years and decades. Centuries pass. Millennia pass. I'm quoting from Panchadashi, first chapter. Yuga. Ages pass. Bodies come and go. Lifetimes come and go. Civilizations rise and fall. Achyutam. Unchanging light of consciousness. Naudeti nastameti. Samvidesha Swayam Prabha. This self-luminous consciousness neither rises, the sun never rises nor sets. It's ever a shining sun of consciousness. Achyutam Ahur Agrayam. It is the first existence. Brahman is the first or the foundation. Brahma Vidya, Sarva Vidya Pratishtha. In Mundaka Upanishad it is said, the foundation of all knowledge is Brahma knowledge of Brahma Vidya. First, in what sense? I just say that and stop and take questions. I found a very beautiful description of this in a Western philosopher, one of the most powerful Western minds of the 20th century. उनकी बहुत बदनाम है अभी, Heidegger, Martin Heidegger. He was a bit of a Nazi himself, admirer of Hitler, which goes to show he can be a great philosopher without being a good human being also. But he was a very powerful thinker. In one place he has said, existence, a question about existence. A question about existence is the widest, deepest, and the most profound of all questions. So widest, deepest, and most fundamental of all questions. What is the question? Question about what is existence. What does he mean by that? Remember, I'm explaining Agrayam first. He says, this is Heidegger. He says existence or Brahman, what we call Brahman, just existence itself, not an existing thing, Brahman itself. He says it's the widest question. Widest question means different disciplines have their limit. So if you are biology, you are interested in life. If you are interested in human physiology, that much only. Biology, you are interested in human physiology, but also many other things, all of life. But if you are interested in chemistry, even wider. Organic, inorganic, you are interested in all of that. Wider question. If you are interested in physics, even wider. So, wider and wider questions, which includes everything. Now, what is the question? What is that which includes everything and does not exclude anything at all? So, it is the question of existence. Because everything, whatever exists, depends on existence. You are talking about, so existence covers anything that exists. But someone might be clever and say, what about non-existence? Existence does not cover non-existence, but non-existence does not exist. So no problem, it can be left out. So existence is the widest question of existence. Study of existence is the widest study because it covers everything, leaving nothing out. Number one. It is the deepest study. Deepest means, for example, you can study physiology. A deeper level is you can study biology. A deeper level you can study chemistry. More fundamental level. deeper level you can study particle physics. But the deepest level of study is existence. So, being itself. At the core, one thing everything can be reduced to is isness or existence. So, it is the deepest study. And then he says most fundamental or profound study, because it's self-reflexive. What is meant by self-reflexive? When you ask, what is existence? It's a question about, the question is a question about itself also. See, when you ask, say, what is a bottle? What is a bottle is a question. It's about only this thing. It's not about me. It's about this thing. But when you ask, what is existence? It's not, it's about the question also. This question is also an existing thing. Everything is covered there. One is asking the question is covered. The question itself becomes an object of its own inquiry. What is existence means you must inquire into everything that exists, including the question itself. So in this sense, it is the widest, deepest and most fundamental of questions. This is the meaning of agrayam. This is not a conventional explanation of agrayam, referring to Heidegger, but I really like that analysis. Good. Now, let us open up for questions. The way we will do the questions is, if you raise your hand, we will work towards. One person can work from the back to the front, and one person can. You select yourself. We'll start this way first, and then we go to the back. Yes. Tell us your name and ask a pointed question.
My name is Indu Ramchandani. Yesterday you mentioned the heart problem of consciousness.
Yes.
And you talked of the Chama and heart problem of consciousness. He talks of qualia, conscious experience. Thomas Nagel has mentioned something what it is like to be. I don't know something that it is like.
Yeah.
So I would like you to please explain that.
Yes. You are really asking for it now. This is one of my favorite subjects. So, the question is, what is the hard problem of question? What is it like to be something? What you are referring to is Thomas Nagel's famous essay, What is it like to be a bat? What is it like to be a bat? Let me give an example. It's a very deep question. Give an example. This is in one of the papers by Professor Jackson called Mary. So suppose there is this, I'm quoting from that paper. Mary, suppose there is this woman who has been kept in a bunker where there is no color, everything is black and white. The dresses she wears black and white, the rooms are black and white, books are black and white. And she has become an expert on the color red because the books have given her all information, except showing her the color. They have given her all information about the color red. Like the red chair you're sitting on, all information. What is the wavelength and what are the different parts of the spectrum without showing her the color. So she's an expert, she knows all the theory. But suppose one day she comes out of that bunker and sees for the first time a red rose. Is she experiencing something that she has not yet experienced, although she is an authority on the color red? For the first time, is she experiencing something new? You say yes. She is experiencing it for herself for the first time. This, what she experienced, is called qualia. Subjective experience. Color, sound, smell, taste, touch, pain, pleasure. All of these are flashes of subjective experience. They're having it all the time. Right now. Our experience is constructed of qualia. Qualia is subjective experience. Now, David Chalmers takes this forward. Where are these qualia? It's in the brain. Do brain surgery, do brain scanning, will you find qualia? No. Will you find color? Will you find smell? Will you find the taste of a cup of tea? No. Will you find the fragrance of chameli? No. In brain you will find only electrical activity, some neurochemicals. That's all. Where is the qualia? How is it being generated? Because we have taken it for granted brain is generating these things. Because corresponding to your experience of qualia, there is electrical activity in the brain. This is called the correlation. The so-called, David Chalmers says, this is the easy problem of consciousness. So-called, quote-unquote easy. It's not easy, but it's comparatively easy. What does it do? You have some experience, and the scientist, the cognitive science, brain scientist, will scan, do an fMRI scan of your brain and find out which parts of your brain are lighting up when you have that experience. When you're having a cup of tea, when there's a pain in your hand, when you are speaking, or somebody whose memory is failing, trying to remember which parts of the brain are lighting up. So there's some connection, correlation. But that electrical activity in the mind is not the joy or the pain or the understanding, philosophy, science. Is it electrical activity? Make it even more clear. In any objective process, you can examine from beginning to end, generally. I'm saying, give an example. If you go to a car factory, you are assembling a car. On one end of the comes all the components from all the suppliers. And you can see the assembly line at every stage. Finally, you can see the end product rolling out. Nothing is hidden. At every point you can see what's happening. Here in the brain, you can examine everything. The neurochemicals, the blood flow, the electrical activity. But the end product, your conscious experience, qualia. That you can't explain, you can't see. The subject, you are reporting it. I feel pain, I feel joy, I'm seeing the color red. But those were third person investigating your brain, they are not seeing any of that. They're just seeing neurochemical activity, blood flow, electrical activity, that's all they're seeing. So there is a jump. How is this objective activity generating subjective experience, otherwise called qualia? This is a hard problem. Hard problem. And the answer from Vedanta, Sankhya, and now David Chalmers also says, it is not generating consciousness. Consciousness is somehow acting through the brain, but the consciousness itself is not a product of the brain. So he likes a theory called panpsychism, that there is a material universe and there is also consciousness. Consciousness cannot be reduced to brain. It's connected to the brain, it works through the body and the brain nervous system, but it cannot be reduced to brain. So fundamental particles of physics, energy, all of those are there, and consciousness is another fundamental reality of this universe. So this universe consists of material reality and consciousness. If anybody studied Indian philosophy, doesn't it sound like Sankhya, Prakriti Purusha, consciousness and matter? It is the oldest philosophy in the world, not 21st century David Chalmers panpsychism, you can say that. But Swami Vivekananda said Kapila was the first philosopher of the human race. And what was his philosophy? There is consciousness and there is matter. Dualism. Advaita just goes one step further. It just says that matter is also, so-called matter, is an appearance in consciousness. Point out matter which is not an appearance in consciousness. Show me. Everything that you are seeing here is appearing in your consciousness. Everything that you are hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, everything that you are not seeing or smelling, but you find out through scientific investigation, the result of that is also appearing in your consciousness. Everything that you don't see, something in the far, far galaxy, which you are not seeing at all, no human being has ever seen. Unknown matter is there. Or right here, very tiny particles, which we are not able to see. And so then it is there, but we have to admit, but it's not in consciousness. But that it is there, we are just speaking about it as unknown matter in consciousness. Right now. I give the example of our senior most member of Vedanta Society in New York. He's a physicist. William Conrad. He's going to be 100 years old next month in June. So he says, no, Swami, it is not right that consciousness, the world exists in consciousness. The world exists, and as conscious beings, we come to experience the world. This is the common sense view, the materialistic view. Matter is first, then life and consciousness comes second. That's what we all learn in school. So he said, I will show you, do an experiment to prove that. We will leave this room, we will put a camera in this room and then leave the room. No conscious being in this room. Then we will come back and I will show you Swami pictures in the camera which will show the room, empty room existing without any conscious being. So the empty room, the room is not in your consciousness. Room exists without consciousness. And you, the conscious being, come and experience the room. Common sense approach, materialistic approach. So I said to him, Bill, in your consciousness you thought about this experiment. In your consciousness you set up the camera. In your consciousness you invited all of us out of the room. In your consciousness you came back into the empty room. And in your consciousness you examined the pictures in the camera which showed an empty room in your consciousness. Where did you step out of consciousness? Immediate answer to people will, the first common sense answer which we have, the way we have been trained to think, this is fine, but all your Vedanta consciousness, these theories are applicable now. Millions of years, billions of years ago, no life was there, even before the creation of the earth, even before creation of the sun. Where was life? Where were human beings? Where was Vedanta? Where was consciousness? So, matter is first, consciousness next. Where are you saying this? In consciousness. Anyway, then from the back someone. Have you given?
Hello.
Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
I'm Swarup Goswami, Swami.
Yes.
Wonderful talk. Thank you so much for that. But sorry to say, I got further confused.
Good.
Yeah. So my one question was related to Advaita. If Advaita is one, why should you have multiple gods and goddesses, Ma Kali, Ma Durga, Lord Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, all these things? You can worship only one Advaita.
And the answer is they are not many.
Yeah. So what it helps? Why should you have multiple gods and goddesses? How does it help one?
Okay.
And the second,
Don't forget the second question. Keep in mind. Let me answer them one by one.
and the second question is
No,
also.
let me answer them one by one. Hold on. Let me answer them one by one. So multiple forms and conceptions and names of gods and goddesses, they are helpful because sadhakas are many, their approaches are many. That's why we have many traditions. How can you have multiple concepts? One has to be right, other has to be false? No. Since in Sri Ramakrishna's words, Tini Ananto, the Namu Ananto. Tini Ananto, Path Ananto. Infinite paths, infinite reality, infinite paths. Or I am not written a book. Sri Ramakrishna is saying. So the reality which we are talking about, Brahman, that is limitless. And so when we approach it in many ways. This was the first truth discovered by our sages way back in the Rig Veda. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, no doubt about it. That's what Advaita says. But when you try to express it in language, remember it cannot be expressed in language. So when you try to express it in language, you will have multiple expressions. When you try to build a philosophy around it, you will have multiple philosophies. When you try to find out a sadhana to realize that, you will have multiple sadhanas. So that's why multiple forms of gods and goddesses. Hinduism has no problem with it. Because our idea of truth is that the expression of truth need not be one. The truth is one, but the expression can be many. And this is what accounts for the peace and harmony that we have enjoyed in our land for millennia. Whereas the other part of the world, from last 2000 years till now, till today, torn apart with violence. Why? Because the reason is the idea of truth is that what you are talking about. If God is one, how can there be many forms, many conceptions, many names? There cannot be. There has to be one conception of God. Which one is it? It is my conception of God. You have a different conception, I will kill you. That is the basic source of violence in the Middle East. Part of which is also imported here into India. How is it possible that in India, so many religions, so many forms, many have disappeared also. In the ancient times, if you look at Buddha's time, there were names of philosophical teachers, spiritual teachers, those traditions are gone now. And there are many religions. Jainism is from this land. Vedic Hinduism is from this land. Buddhism is from this land. Sikhism is from this land. Show me one war they have fought. There have been conflicts, but not much. And most of it has been relegated to the level of intellectual debate. Shastrartha, Vada. Very sophisticated debate. Not warfare, open warfare in the name of religion. Not genocides and massacres in the name of religion. This is a great achievement of our civilization, which we don't get credit for. It's something that it's common to us. We understand that people can worship in different ways. It's sort of, we are open to it. But people in the world are not open to it. This is something that I learned to my surprise. Very open, progressive societies, except when it comes to religion. We are all for diversity, except when it comes to religion. Somehow in religion, one is true, everything else is heretical and devil worship and you have to be converted or killed. Why? It is because of this. We have understood. You can have Kali, you can have Shiva, you can have Vishnu, you can have Ganesha, you can have the formless Parabrahman. No need to fight among each other. Not only no need to fight, we have respect for the other. Who is the worshipper of Narayana who will, insult, who dare to insult Kali and say that is devil worship? We will not worship. Nobody. We don't. We will not worship. We will have respect. So this is a unique thing about our civilization. It comes from Ekam Sat Vipra Bhudha Vananti. It's I have seen it again and again. People in the West, even now, in the most advanced of nations, when it comes to religion, they are uneasy about Jato Mat of the pot, as many faiths, so many paths to the divine. They just can't understand. If God is one, the religion also has to be one. So one truth, everything else is false. And I am ready to murder for that also. I remember I was attending an online conference organized by a friend of mine, a rabbi, who is very active on interfaith from Jerusalem, a few months ago. So peace conference. I was speaking from Hinduism. He was, of course, he's Jewish, very learned rabbi. He's written many books about Hinduism and Judaism. And there was an Islamic representative, a Christian representative, and finally, so we, after that discussion, very nice discussion, at the end, he ended with prayers from his religion. So he recited the prayers and he translated, listen to the prayer. Oh Hashem, that means, Yahweh, Jehovah. We pray for that day when all the nations of the world will bend down knees to you alone, and all false idols will be destroyed, and people will recognize the truth of you alone. I am paraphrasing. Then he realized what it sounds like. And you see, it does not mean it is against other religions. This is not the meaning of that. I was thinking, he was saying that here where we are sitting in Jerusalem, from here we can hear the bombs falling in Gaza, shaking this place. So, there is a connection between this kind of thinking and the bombs falling. There is a connection. Next. You choose, I told you. Quick, fast. Alright, this gentleman here. Next person also should give the microphone and be ready.
Swamiji, my name is Santosh Pandey. Now my question is, you talked about Brahman and enlightenment. So when you are on the path of enlightenment, are there stages of enlightenment or it is only zero-step function? It is either not there or there?
No, there are stages.
So there are stages. So what are the stages of the enlightenment?
It depends on the path. On the path, in different traditions and lineages, the stages of spiritual life have been given as stages. I mean, there are different stages have been enumerated. So, Advaita Vedanta, what are the stages? First stage is ignorance. First stage is ignorance. Second stage is error. Third is suffering. Fourth is indirect knowledge. Fifth is direct knowledge. Sixth is eradication of suffering. And seventh is attainment of bliss. Ajnana, Brahma, Dukkha, Paroksha Jnana, Aparoksha Jnana, Dukkha Nivritti, Ananda Prapti. Where did I get these 7 stages? From Vidyaranya Swami, Panchadashi, one chapter it is there. To illustrate that, he says, there were these 10 friends who went out for a journey. You know the story of the 10th man. So he went out, everybody knows. Yes. But let me quickly go through it further. So And you know how they crossed the river, then they thought, has everybody crossed? Let us count. One person counted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 10th person has drowned. And then they started crying. Then a wise person came and said, why are you crying? Oh, our friend 10th person has drowned. How do you know? We counted, only 9 are there. And this man said, the 10th person is there. Don't worry. Stop crying. And then they said, show us. So you count again. So they counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This man pointed the hand. Dashamas Tvamasi. Thou art the 10th. You are the 10th. 10. And he realized, oh, I am the 10th. They all said, let us try, let me try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 10th person is there. So then their problem was solved. Now look at the 7 stages of spiritual life. They did not know that their 10th person was there. Ignorance. Then because of that ignorance came Brahma, error. 10th person is drowned. No question of drowning, but they think it's drowning. Then because of that came suffering, dukkha. They were sat and cried, 3rd stage. Then the wise man came and gave them knowledge. The 10th person is there. 10th person is there. Then don't say, where is the 10th person? It's there, listen to me. Paroksha jnana. Then 5th stage is, you are the 10th. Oh, I see, I am the 10th. Aparoksha jnana. Then dukkha nivritti, all sorrows gone. Then we have found our friend, the 10th person. What joy. Similarly, we do not know we are Brahman. Not knowing we are Brahman, stage 1. Stage 2, error. I am this body, I am this mind, bhuta sattva. Then suffering, old age, disease, death, samsara, all the suffering in every possibility, dukkha of suffering. Everything is based on error. Then paroksha jnana. I go to a retreat, Maharaj is organized, we are doing pratasmarana, I realize that Brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sangaha. I am Brahman without any suffering. We ask, where? How? Wait. And then we will go through the vedantic vichara and inquiry, that which is the waker and waker's world, dreamer and dreamer's world, so on. One consciousness I try to understand. Suddenly one day I will realize, oh, this is who I am. Then aparoksha jnana. Then dukkha nivritti, all samsara dukkhas will go. From my perspective, externally nothing will happen. Sri Ramakrishna's cancer remained cancer and the body died. But he is in bliss, which is 7th stage. This is 7th stage of spiritual life. One way of classifying.
I have one more small question. Like if you're following a path for self-realization, like there is Tantra sadhana, Shiv Shakti sadhana you are doing, and you feel the state of bliss when you are doing devotional songs or you are doing the meditation, and the similar bliss even comes when we listen to Vedanta talks by you, which I have been listening for the last 2 months. So is this bliss state a peep into the Brahman or is it something else?
It is a sattvic state of the mind. This is called bhajanananda. There is vishayananda. You have a nice cake, chocolate cake, very nice, vishayananda. You see a nice movie, vishayananda. Nice music, vishayananda. Ananda, bliss from sense objects, from the world. But you take time off, sit and listen to Vedanta talk. You do a bhajan, you repeat the mantra, and you are enjoying it actually. You are liking it. This is called bhajanananda, the joy of spiritual practice. This is much higher. It comes from a sattvic state of the mind. And then last is called brahmananda, when you actually realize.
And time required for that?
And training. Anything from this next moment to many life minutes. Then the last one.
Swamiji, my name is Saurav.
Yes.
You have said that once a person attains enlightenment, then his awareness of the fact that I am that remains even in the transactional reality.
Yes.
Now, what kind of awareness does such a person carry during sleep, during the dream state? Because if he is aware I am that, would he dream at all?
Yes, he would. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep will come and go. You see, when you say he retains the awareness that he is, awareness, that he is Atman. What we think when we say such things is, I am thinking that I am awareness. Right now we are beginning to understand, we are listening to all this, I am Brahman, I am thinking. So, in dreams also will I think that? I am Brahman, I am Brahman. Deep sleep, I cannot even think that. This is not what is meant by retaining awareness. What is meant by knowledge is Once you realize what you are, you see that Vastu is there regardless of the waking, dreaming, deep sleep. This why this question becomes, it becomes an important question. One feels this is an important question. It's not from an enlightened person's perspective, but from our perspective, it's an important question because we feel this is something we have to hold on to. This is a great idea, wonderful philosophy, great insight into my real nature, and I must hold on to this. But I realize holding on to this is difficult. By the time I leave here, go out into the heat in Gurgaon, slowly Brahman will begin to disappear. Body will begin to come forth. And by the time I fall asleep, totally disappear. Dreams will come. Deep sleep, even dreams will go away. So where is this knowledge? I feel I must hold on to it somehow. And then that means the enlightened person is someone who holds on to this realization continuously. No, not at all. Not at all. A very great sadhu, he was questioned by a younger monk in Kankhal. Same question. He put it in Hindi in this way. अच्छा, aham brahmasmi, मैं ब्रह्म हूँ, इसको तो पकड़ के रखना है ना. I have to hold on to this, right? I am Brahman. And that sadhu said, the teacher, he said, उसी को तो नहीं पकड़ के रखना है. You must not hold on to this. Why? If you hold on to it, it's a mental thing. Everything that we read, understand, debate, it's all mental. But Brahman is not mental. Is not a product of our intellect. You don't have to hold on to Brahman. People who have no interest in Vedanta, have never heard of Vedanta, they are as much Brahman as you and I and Thakur and Swamiji. Same Brahman everywhere. It has to be realized. Once you realize, you will relax. You will not try to hold on to something with the mind. The mind will present waking, dreaming, deep sleep, waking, dreaming, deep sleep again and again. As long as this body is existing, you remain as the ever awake. Ever awake. What is that like? Let's wait and see. Alright. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
So we have only one more day left. Maybe she could continue for weeks. So tomorrow there will be, I think some people have not done that. So please come in time because they expect more crowd tomorrow. So now Maharaj will leave and then after 5 minutes you can leave. Tomorrow of course all of you can do the announcement.